I'm always keen to respond to people's comments in the under the videos. So this is a response, and it's a response particularly to someone who took offence at my comments about Rachel Reeves, and she took offence particularly about my use of scatological imagery. I don't think she used that term, but I do. And scatology, as opposed to eschatology. Eschatology is about the final things, very much on our mind at the moment as we contemplate the ire of Putin. But the scatological in English literature has a long tradition, especially to criticise those in power. It's a tradition rooted in both the visceral appeal of vulgarity and the sharp precision of its criticism. Writers such as Actually, the first person who comes to mind is Rabelais, and he's not English. I've got a very nice double volume, beautifully illustrated a set of Rabelais stuff, and but yes, Shakespeare. Shakespeare is good enough. Shakespeare, Alexander Pope. Alexander Pope is the fellow who I think is the grandfather of rap. He wrote a letter, and he said that the reason he wrote simple poetry with simple rhymes was so that people who he was attacking, people who were the victims of his invective, would remember what he said. And that really is what Eminem and particularly the drill artists are definitely trying to do. Jonathan Swift is another who doesn't let a good image escape him. These people embrace the scatological not as a gratuitous provocation, but as a tool to expose human folly, to expose the hypocrisy and the pretension of the rich and the powerful. The evolution of the word vulgar, for example, from common to unrefined, encapsulates this literary tendency to speak plainly and crudely, is to wield language in its rawest, most democratic form. Chaucer's Canterbury Tales stands as an early English example where bawdy humour unites the coarse speech of millers and clerks with deep satirical intent. And scatology, as employed by these great literary figures from Chaucer to Shakespeare to Pope, to what was his name? Rochester, and I suppose again, if we wanted to move across into the continent, the Marquis de Sade, it's not merely a descent into filth, but a way to destabilize illusions of refinement and to democratize discourse. Swift, for instance, uses excremental imagery in the ladies' dressing room and Strephon and Chloe to dismantle romanticized views of the feminine, exposing the physical realities that underpin human life. As Huxley remarked, Swift's genius lies in his hatred of bowels, which serves as a vehicle for his broader misanthropy and satire. The line from Strephon and Chloe, can Chloe, heavenly Chloe, well, anyway, I won't finish that line, but can she? Epitomizes this juxtaposition of the idealized and the base, revealing the fragility of illusions upheld by society, by the norms of society. Swift's scatological poems engage with the epistemological concerns of his era, echoing the writings of John Locke. Locke's distinction between primary and secondary qualities, what is intrinsic to an object versus what is perceived in the mind, finds a parallel absolutely in Swift's satire. In the ladies' dressing room, Strephon's discovery of Celia's bodily functions obliterates his romantic illusions, confronting him with the messy intersection of reality and imagination. Yet, as the narrator suggests, an awareness of this doesn't negate beauty, but rather demands a reconciliation of opposites, such gaudy tulips raised from dung. What a brilliant idea. This tension between the sublime and the grotesque also underpins Pope's essay on man, where human understanding is likened to the shifting eddies of the mind, prone to distortion by passion and fancy. Like Pope, Swift uses eschatology. Swift uses scatology, not eschatology. to explore the limits of human perception, forcing readers to confront their discomfort and to question the foundations of their assumptions. The scatological then becomes a form of philosophical inquiry, challenging readers to reconcile the materiality of ourselves with the idealism of our mind. And the historical precedent for such imagery is vast. Shakespeare's plays abound with bawdy puns at the most extraordinary moment, from Hamlet's grim jest about Polonius being at supper, not where he eats, but where he is eaten, to Falstaff's endless ribaldry. Rabelais, writing in the Renaissance, extolled the earthy humour of Gargantua, merging grotesque physicality with intellectual exuberance. Catullus and Martial, as Swift's classical antecedents, revelled in the obscene to puncture pretension and elevate the common tongue. Scatology's enduring power lies in its universality. As Swift demonstrates, nothing undercuts the pomp of power or the illusion of perfection faster than a well-placed, inappropriate joke. And in this tradition, vulgarity is a form of truth-telling. It's the Max Miller. It's the Max Miller of literacy. It's a reminder that no matter how lofty one's station or one's ideals may be, all humans are united by the body and its functions. It's both the sound and the historically justified vehicle that wields imagery against buffoonery and hypocrisy and power. From Chaucer's Miller to Swift's satirical Strephon, the gross and filthy remain potent weapons in literature's arsenal, I use that word pointedly, ensuring that fine ideas do not, quote, vanish fast, but are grounded, however uncomfortably, in the realities of human existence. In Bruegel, in the great paintings of each and every age in the literature, and now today in the television, and in the theatres, and in our comedy, all the way from Ken Dodd and Benny Hill to Monty Python. I think there's sound sense. There's sound sense in bringing things, what should we say, down to earth. And Rachel Reeves needs grounding.